Hello, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to the Top Producer Show. Our mission is to educate, equip, and train servant leaders. Our vision is to create financially independent achievers, and our purpose is to help people grow. And right now, we're on the book Change Your World by John Maxwell and Robert Hoskins, and we are on Chapter 6 today, which is Transformation Happens One Table at a Time. So before we jump into that next chapter, we are going to invite some people onto here.
Ta-da.
Yep.
We're inviting.
Yep. Hope everybody had... Oh, what is that? Okay.
Sorry, my phone's going off.
Hope you guys had a wonderful Valentine's Day. Get to go out and do something fun, depending on where you're at. I know some of you guys are from all over the place, so depending on where you're at, you were able to go out and do something fun. I even saw a couple really neat creative things that people did at home, which was awesome. Some dinner plans. Usually if a holiday lands on a weekend, we usually celebrate during the week. So we talked about going and doing something maybe for lunch on Tuesday. So we'll probably be doing something then. We still did some stuff this weekend, but we usually like to do stuff during the week when everybody else is at work. So, alrighty then. Oh, what's that? Okay.
Okay, so we're going to get rolling here. Shamala's here. Hello, hello. We are on John C. Maxwell's book, Change Your World. Transformation happens one table at a time. He talked about this in his 5 things that they kind of go over. Said he was going to dedicate an entire chapter to this. It says the table is a place where everyone helps everyone improve. And because we've always wanted to make a difference, Rob and I have basically worked to help people for most of our lives. Throughout the years, we've approached the goal in many different ways. I've counseled people one-on-one. I've taught, I've created stuff, I've created staff, training programs, and I've hosted conferences and seminars. I've spoke at large events. I've built organizations. I've written books. I've created resources on paper, audio tape, videotape, DVD, and interactive platforms. After more than 50 years, I've come to this conclusion: transformation happens one table at a time. Life is better basically at the table. It says maybe I should have figured this out sooner or later. I know that good values my brother, sister, and I learned from basically my parents formed around a dinner table. So he sat, and ate dinner, and I've heard that many, many times. They said, the family that prays together stays together, the family that, breaks bread together. I can't remember what the second part of that is, but it's basically about staying together and making things work. Come to the table. It says if you want to help people transform their lives, then you will want to learn how to gather small groups around a table and get them talking about good values and how to apply them to their lives every day. Here's how transformational tables work and how you start using it to change your world. Number 1, transformational tables start small. Big things come from small beginnings. A moment can begin with a single person. One of the fantastic things about transformational tables is it allows anybody, anywhere, basically to start creating this transformation. And it's true, big things come from small. It can become just from an idea. An idea can take off. Christian, what's happening? So, sorry, got something in my eye. So transformational tables provide common ground for people. It says everything good in human interaction starts with common ground. It's where connections are made, relationships are built, Trust is formed around shared values, and the process begins. Transformational tables provide the fertile soil where growth happens. I'm sorry, not where people happens, where growth happens, because they offer a place at a time for people to gather for a common purpose. So you're basically setting up the time and the place, and then letting kind of the people fill in. And I know he's going to talk about this, having an agenda is going to help as well. Proximity, it says you may be impressed with the people from the distance. You can impact them from far away or close up. Transformation is personal. It requires an investment of one person into another. And the most effective facilitators of transformational tables are open, authentic, and vulnerable. They admit their shortcomings, and they are honest about their failures. They share how they want to grow and change to become a better person who lives lives better values. You may be able to impress people from a distance, but you can impact them only from close up. And that's Facebook's motto, right? Living, if life only were as good as it looked like it was on Facebook, because from far away, you're able to put up this stuff and people don't really realize, what's going on close up. Once they get to know you, like, oh, you put that great picture up, but life is kind of crazy otherwise. Environment. Motivation is overrated. Environment matters more. It says we become like the people we spend our time with. If you grew up in a family of intellectuals, you probably tend to be a thinker who likes ideas. If you spend all day time around fit athletes, you probably value fitness and work to stay in shape. If your social circle is filled with high caliber business people, you probably talk about business and have a knack for it. If you're an artist, you probably gravitate towards other artists, and basically that fuels your creativity. As transformational tables or facilitators lead the discussion of values, people examine their past behaviors and become more self-aware by talking about the good values and how to apply them to their lives. Repetition. Change is never instantaneous. It takes time and takes repetition. James Clear has written a fantastic book on this, Atomic Habits. This is like the 5th time I've heard this book mentioned. So for those of you who are book people, Atomic Habits is one of the ones we need to order, read, and go over on this, which I strongly recommend. In it, he wrote about how habits are basically formed. Each time you basically repeat an action, you are activating a particular neural circuit associated with the habit. This means you simply are putting in the reps, and one of the most critical steps you have to basically encoding a new habit. It says all habits follow similar trajectories from effortful practice. I didn't even know that was a word. Effortful practice to automatic behavior. And this process is known as automaturity. Automaturity. Automaturity is the ability to perform a behavior without thinking about it. So subconsciously, you just do it. It's like tying your shoe. You can like get up and put your shoes on. I don't know if you've ever tried to drive home from work, right? You're driving home from work, or you're driving to work and you forget what day it is, and you're able to drive past your house, or you're able to get up, eat, get everything done, go out the house, and then you're like, Dakota, what's happening? Did I finish this? Did I close the garage door? Did I lock the door? Did I turn subconsciously you're able to do all that stuff and just kind of run. What if you could do that with everything that would make you successful in life? Dakota, hope you're doing well. Joshua Ryan here. What's happening? Transformational tables provide a common place for participants to get in their repetitions by meeting regularly, discussing and embracing values, and talking about actions needed to make progress. Everyone at the table engages in progress and change. Transformational tables reform and reinforce people's identities. Values are at the core of every person's identity. Because transformational tables focus on good values, they reinforce the positive aspects of a participant's identity, but also helping people reform their identity when good values replace poor ones. In Atomic Habits, Clear also wrote about how a person's identity is formed, which we may find very insightful and observing. It says your identity emerges out of your habits. You are not born with present beliefs. Every belief, including the ones about yourself, is learned and conditioned through these experiences. Most precisely, your habits are how you embody your identity. Because you know who you are and what you do, right? Waiting for it? Oh, I thought you were already in. Well, it'll go well, and then we'll come out on the other side. More precisely, your habits are how you embody your identity. The more you repeat a behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with that behavior. In fact, the word identity, originally was derived in Latin words from essentialis, which is being or identifying, which means repeatedly. Your identity is literally your repeated beginning. So every time you go do something, that's who you are. And typically you won't act incongruent with who you think you are. If you think you are that person, you will. That's why, somebody who, like, I'm a smoker, they'll smoke. I'm a drinker, I'll drink. I'm a liar, I'll lie. But if I'm honest, I'm honest. That's what I do. I'm a hard worker. People will tend to, whatever they think they are, it's very, very difficult to act incongruent with who you think you are. So that's why it's, you have to figure out how to basically make it happen. Nobody's identity is set in stone. We all have the power to change our beliefs about ourselves, which means we all have the power to change our lives. So if you have the ability to start something new, do something new, read something new, watch something new, you have the ability to change in the direction you want to go. You just have to decide what that is. Most people want to change their finances. I heard this great quote last night, and it comes from, I decided to switch some things around in my life so that way every Sunday I could be on this one training of one of our mentors. And he kind of came out yesterday and said something that he's like, guys, there's not many people that sit around and talk about how to get wealthy. He goes, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. And he goes, it's really about increasing your net worth. He goes, I'm not here to brag, I'm not here to put anybody else down. He goes, but when I started working in the industry of direct sales 22 years ago, he goes, I was thousands of dollars in debt. He goes, Visa was $14,000. Discover Card was $14,000. He goes, I was making six figures. I was in the real estate business. He goes, but my net worth was negative. 22 years later, he goes, yes, I've made millions of dollars in the industry, but I've been able to figure out how to keep and grow. He goes, now I'm worth over 30 million. It's a pretty good turnaround, right? Now he came from a family that had money, so he knew it was possible. He just wasn't following the pattern and the path to be able to make that kind of money. But 30 millions, that's a good chunk of change. That would pay for a while. And as I kind of have said, no matter how bad things get, isn't it funny that the rich people always figure it out? The wealthy people, they always get out or they always figure it out. Whether it's, here or Venezuela or, Vietnam or Laos when it, collapsed. 4, transformational tables connect awareness to application for people. It says when people come to transformational tables, one of the most important aspects of the process is how they are prompted to create a connection between self-awareness and application. Self-awareness, oh, hey, that's something I need to do. Application, now I'm going to go do it, right? It happens a lot inside of direct sales and network marketing. You're like, okay, this is the pattern, this is the pattern, this is the pattern. And you're going along. And all of a sudden, like you'll go to a training or you'll hear something on an audio or a video and they'll say something like, you can use these words at this time. Well, you've been in that situation many times. You've just never been aware of when to say what to say, what to say and when to say. And then all of a sudden that opening will be there and you're like, oh, this is when you're supposed to say it. And then you say that, or then you ask that question, or then you change the conversation and it goes well. And you're like, oh, wow, where was that the whole time? Awareness and application. First of all, you have to become aware of it. You become aware of it from going to the trainings, as he talks about going to the table over and over and over again. First, participants learn about good value. What is it? How can it benefit them? And how can it positively impact others? And how can it improve the world? But the process doesn't stop there. All people in a group are asked to examine themselves in light of what they've learned. This is where the process of change really begins. And this is something that we started doing. I should have been doing the whole time. What is your greatest takeaway? What is your greatest takeaway from this event? What is your greatest takeaway from this call? What is your greatest takeaway from this meeting? If you're not figuring out what your takeaway was and you're just sitting there mindlessly watching, or a lot of us are playing on our phone and we've got a game going and we've got 30 other things happening, you can be there but you could miss everything. It's like being on the right track but getting run over because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. 5, transformation tables give people a way to track transformation. It says when I was in my late 20s, this is John, I heard a radio personality, Earl Nightingale, say, if you will spend 1 hour a day, every day for 5 years on the same subject, you will become an expert in that area. Those words basically filled my imagination. They also changed my trajectory of life. I knew instantly that I would dedicate my life to studying leadership because I had seen the impact it could make on others. It says, I dove into the subject and spent more than an hour on it every day. I read every book I can get my hands on. I listen to every leadership message to clean everything. By the way, we got a great leadership message from Nick Saban yesterday. Fantastic audio I'm going to put up. I attended conferences and events where I could basically hear leaders speak. I started asking leaders in my field if they would basically meet with me for an hour or so I could ask them questions. That was his whole luncheon thing, which I believe is, again, meeting around the table. That's what he's talking about. He did that, and for years he did that. In the morning, Benjamin Franklin asked himself, what good will I do today? When he went to bed, what good did I do today? So it's intention versus application. Intention is, I should do this. Application is, I did do this. So here's my daily dozen. Each morning I ask myself to practice these. I will choose to display the right attitude. I will embrace and practice good values. I will communicate with care for my family. I will know my following healthy guidelines. I will know and follow my healthy guidelines. Taco Tuesday, I was just thinking about that. So I will determine and act upon important priorities. I will accept and show responsibility. I will make and keep proper commitments. I will initiate and invest in solid relationships. I will earn and prosper. And manage my finances. I will deepen and live out my faith. I will desire and experience self-improvement, and I will plan for and model generosity, giving back. As people engage in transformational tables, there are two important things to keep in mind for tracking progress. First is consistency. It says, when I started my journey learning about leadership, the reason I started growing was that I was consistent. I worked every single day. Did I ever miss a day? Of course. I'm far from perfect, and life is full of surprises. But I made it a priority to grow every day. And whenever I did miss, I determined I would never miss 2 days in a row. And he went on to do that for basically 50 years. He goes, second thing people can see and do and track about their progress is to ask themselves, what did this value help me become the person? Does this value help me become the person I want to be? Does this behavior work for or against my desired identity. Values that conflict with a desired identity are not helpful. Like the desire to sit around and binge watch, 25 hours of television, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, I can go on and on. Is that, it's fun. It is fun. But is it something that's going to get you to where you want to go? Is it something that's, helping the world or creating the good? Or are you just distracting yourself because you're like, I'm bored as shit. I don't have anything to do this weekend, so I'm going to watch 50 hours of television so that way I can have a conversation with Sally on Monday. I'm not saying Sally's a person, not a good person, and you shouldn't talk to him. And I'm not saying you shouldn't watch a TV show. But 50 hours in a row doesn't make a lot of sense. Unless you're, there's certain times where it does make sense when you can't do anything else. I've got a friend, Wise, who was in a car accident, and he hasn't been able to do anything for basically 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He hit his head hard enough, broke a windshield, rolled down a hill, hit a guardrail. So concussion, contusion, dizziness, the whole 9 yards. And they're like, yeah, you really shouldn't be online more than 2 hours. You just don't want to overtax it. Let it heal up. So, one of the lessons discussed at the table was the value of forgiveness as she examined her life and light. So he tells a story about forgiveness, one of the most important values. 6, transformational tables helps people do life better together. John D. Rockefeller said, don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. Meaning, sometimes you have to leave something behind to move up and move forward. Learning good values, using transformational tables helps people to live better lives. When this happens, the possibility of alleviating poverty, disease, hunger, illiteracy, and other problems within a community increases. Why? Because helping them develop core values and making them happier and healthier people, more productive, more content. Is it content? Content? Yeah, content people empowers them to create their own future. They improve their own families and improve their own communities, and which is great. Anytime people get together, whether they form a new transformational table, move to a new neighborhood, accept a new job, join a new team, they are all internally asking 3 questions. Do you care for me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? When people who learn good values at transformational tables become the kind of people who do care, who do help, and who can be trusted, and that creates an environment of encouragement and belief in everyone. So that's kind of what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get everybody to move in the same direction. New relationships are formed. So this is just stuff that happens. Transformational tables, people who desire to improve their lives gather, and new relationships are formed, beliefs are discovered, perception is shared, discussions give help, questions are asked, answers are found, trust is given, vulnerability is accepted, values are practiced, good habits are formed, self-worth is increased, forgiveness is experienced, attitudes are positive, responsibilities are accepted, priorities are identified, broken relationships can be restored, servanthood is lived, generosity is shown, courage is activated, commitments are made, initiatives is encouraged, integrity is valued, and lives are changed. So, basically, are you ready to sit at one of our transformational tables? Are you ready to basically look at yourself and admit where you need to grow? So that's what he has. Obviously, we just did the cliff notes of this, but that's what he has for this particular chapter about getting around a table. Question is, A, have you ever done it? And B, do you need to do it? And I guess C is, are you going to do it? And how do you set it up? Tomorrow, we're going to go over what gets done, what gets done gets measured. This is going to be all about tracking. So that's chapter 7. We will go over that tomorrow, Tuesday at 11:30. What else, Brandy?
I believe that's it. So if you guys haven't yet, you want to go to the Top Producer Show Facebook page and you want to go join that page. Also go follow us on YouTube. Each one of these videos is going to be uploaded to there. So that way, if you guys want to go back and rewatch it, you are more than welcome to. So with that, that's what we have for you guys today, and we will see you guys tomorrow.